Welcome back to The Explainer. You know when you grab a carton of milk out of the fridge and you realize you're just one day past the expiry date? You pour it out, right? It's done. It's no longer viable. Well, what if I told you that legal justice actually has an expiry date too? Just like that milk, a legal claim can literally go bad if it just sits there for too long. Let's get right into it and see how time can actually erase the law.
So, what actually happens when justice just expires? It sounds kind of like a philosophical riddle, right? But it's actually a very real, hard-nosed procedural rule in the legal world. And as we're going to see today, when the clock runs out on a legal claim, it creates this massive ethical friction for everyone involved. We're talking severe consequences for the people owed money, for the people avoiding debt, and especially for the lawyers caught right in the middle of it all.
All right, let's dive into this timeline. Section 1, the expiry date on justice.
So, in South African law, the absolute magic number you've got to remember is 3 years. That's the standard lifespan for your normal, everyday civil debt. If someone owes you money, or say you're injured and need to sue someone for damages, the clock starts ticking immediately. You have exactly 3 years to claim that debt before it is completely wiped out. The hourglass has a very, very strict limit. And that brings us to the actual legal definition here. This whole idea of the clock running out, it's legally known as prescription. Under the Prescription Act 68 of 1969, if a creditor waits too long to claim a debt or to sue, the debt prescribes, which simply means it can no longer be enforced in any court of law. Once that 3-year clock runs out, the debt just legally dies. There's no appeal, no coming back from it, it's just gone.
Moving on to Section 2, the lawyer's worst nightmare. Let's look at professional negligence.
Missing this deadline is no joke, the ultimate professional sin for a legal practitioner. Let's walk through the terrifying domino effect that happens if an attorney miscalculates that 3-year window. Step 1. Let's say the attorney misses the deadline by just one single day. Step 2. The client completely loses their right to sue the person who wronged them. The case is instantly dead on arrival. And Step 3. Because the lawyer breached their duty of care, the attorney themselves gets sued for professional negligence. One slip of the calendar, and the entire case collapses squarely onto the lawyer's shoulders. I mean, look at this severe fallout. Not only are they sued by their own client, but they're also reported to the Legal Practice Council for misconduct. Ultimately, to make the client whole, the attorney has to claim from the legal practitioner's indemnity insurance fund to compensate them. They're essentially paying for the lost case out of their own professional pocket. It's a massive disaster that all stems from just missing a date.
Okay, but let's flip the script here. Section 3, the free pass dilemma. Let's look at the person who actually owes the money.
Imagine this scenario for a second. You borrow 50,000 Rand from a friend, promise to pay it back, but then you just wait out the clock, day by day, until those 3 years are up. Here's the crucial clash between legal and moral reality. Legally, when the friend finally tries to sue, the debtor can raise a special plea of prescription, and boom, they're safe. But morally, they just escaped a genuine obligation on a pure technicality. It is a stark, really uncomfortable contrast between absolute legal safety and the ethical harshness faced by an innocent creditor who just waited a little too long to file the paperwork.
And this puts the lawyer defending that debtor in a really weird, tense moral spot. According to a lawyer's duty, an attorney must always act in their client's best interest. That means if a lawyer realizes the clock has run out, they have to plead prescription, even if they know for an absolute fact that their client definitely caused a car crash or absolutely broke a business contract. They're ethically bound by their profession to exploit the plaintiff's lateness just to protect the guilty client.
But there is a hard line here to prevent total chaos, the ethical boundary. A lawyer cannot intentionally mislead the court about when the debt actually arose just to manufacture a fake prescription defense. They have to use the rule if it naturally applies, but they cannot lie about the dates to create a dishonest advantage. They've got to play the legal game exactly by the rules, no matter how unfair the outcome might feel to the victim.
Now let's see how this hits ordinary people every single day. Section 4. Beware of zombie debts. We're shifting gears to look at what ruthless collection agencies try to do with old, prescribed consumer debts. This is an incredibly sneaky tactic used to exploit uneducated consumers. Step 1. A collection agency calls and aggressively demands a fractional payment on a debt that's, say, 10 years old, way past the 3-year mark. Step 2. The intimidated consumer pays a tiny fraction, maybe just 50 Rand, or even just admits on the phone that they remember owing the money.
And step 3, that prescribed debt is legally interrupted. Just like a zombie out of a horror movie, that completely dead debt suddenly comes roaring back to life. It's fully enforceable in court again, all because of one tiny tricked payment.
Thankfully, the law actually stepped up here. To crush this abuse, a specific and really powerful piece of legislation stepped in. Section 126B of the National Credit Act, commonly known as the NCA. This section was designed specifically to crush this predatory practice and protect vulnerable consumers from being tricked into resurrecting dead debt.
And I absolutely love how aggressively clear this law is. It is strictly illegal for a credit provider to collect, sell, or reactivate a debt that has prescribed. The NCA made the zombie resurrection an outright punishable offense. If the debt is legally dead, credit providers are no longer allowed to harass you, sell your name to a collection agency, or try to trick you into bringing it back to life. It's a huge, huge win for the consumer.
Which brings us to our final section, zooming out to look at the big picture. Section 5, Law versus Natural Justice.
You're probably wondering, right? Why do we even tolerate a rule that punishes lazy creditors and rewards elusive debtors? Well, prescription actually exists for a very practical reason. Imagine the absolute chaos if courts had to hear lawsuits over events that happened 20 or 30 years ago. Evidence gets lost, important paperwork vanishes in floods or fires, witnesses move away, pass on, or simply forget what happened. Without the cutoff of prescription, our legal system would be completely bogged down trying to solve ancient disputes with zero reliable proof.
And this brings us to the ultimate theme of our explainer. We are constantly navigating this really delicate, unavoidable balancing act in society. On one hand, we desperately need legal certainty, procedural rules requiring absolute precision to keep courts functioning smoothly and fairly. But on the other hand, we crave natural justice, the clear moral reality of right and wrong. And as we've seen today, often these two forces are in direct conflict with one another.
Which leaves us with a final, kind of uncomfortable thought. I want you to really put yourself squarely in this ethical minefield. Think about your own life and your own moral compass. If the clock ran out and you knew for a fact you could legally walk away from a genuine moral debt with absolutely zero consequences, would you? Thanks for exploring this fascinating intersection of law and morality with me. Keep learning, keep questioning, and I'll catch you in the next explainer.